Hey guys, how's it going? Solo back with another daily update video. And it was a weird day in the market, and I'm not 100% happy with how I did today because I definitely left a lot of money on the table. And let's get right into it. So looking at the big board here, it's a mixture of red and green, but it's kind of a tale of two halves where the morning was pretty much all red. I mean, the vast majority of my watch list was dipping, but then after about 11 or 12 p.m., the market really rallied and we started going green, and it's just crazy. I mean, this market just makes zero sense, but you can see Amazon, Google sideways, Facebook down about 2%, Microsoft down 2%, Apple up 1.5%. The semis got hit a little hard. I mean, this is how you know it was a rough day when AMD was down about 3.1% at close, but early in the morning, AMD was down over 5%. I mean, AMD was down to about $80 and some change. And that's where I screwed up, looking back in hindsight. I mean, Micron was bouncing up and down all day, kind of flat, but actually ended up closing almost 1% up. Nvidia was also down about 0.3%, which is actually interesting because I think Nvidia got an upgrade by one of the analysts, I think to the 500s, if I'm not mistaken, but they got upgraded in terms of their share price. Intel had a nice little comeback here, up 2.5%. I mean, Intel's been beaten down a lot the past few days, but let's just get right into it. So looking at AMD, I mean, this is kind of telling the story for the market. I mean, you could replace AMD with SPY or QQQ because this is exactly what the market did. We sold off in the morning up until about 11 a.m. and then we slowly rallied back as the day went on. So around this time, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., there were a bunch of us in the Discord and the market sold off very quickly. I mean, if we take a look at SPY, there was a time point early in the morning, like right here between 10:30 and 11, where SPY dropped from about 335 all the way down to 333. So in the matter of about 20 minutes, half an hour, SPY dropped $2. And I watched this, and me and some of the other people in Discord watched this happen live because SPY dropped like this, the Qs dropped like that. Pretty much every stock just instantaneously just started plummeting. And I started salivating because I thought this is going to be the great time to open up some cash secured puts. But the sell-off happened so quickly and so hard that I didn't know where the bottom was. So I didn't want to get in too early, and then the market or SPY or whatever ticker I play keeps dipping because then I'm automatically in the red that quickly. And that combined with just overall uncertainty in this week because, Trump signed an executive order over the weekend in terms of like a pseudo stimulus bill, but there's talk of, is that even constitutional? Can he even do that? Are the Democrats going to sue him over this? I mean, just a lot of craziness. And all throughout the day, no official stimulus bill was signed. The other thing is that from now until September 7th, Congress is actually in recession. Not a recession like the economy, but they're in recess, meaning they're on vacation, for lack of a better word. So they can still get called back in for a vote, for example, for the stimulus bill, but they're not even, on site anymore. So that's interesting because that tells me, well, it's going to be even harder now to get a stimulus bill passed because who's going to come back from vacation to vote on this thing? And who's even going to talk about it while they're on vacation? So that's actually interesting. And knowing that, I thought we might have an overall red week because that's really bad news for the market because right now, people are not going to get unemployment benefits. They might get evicted from their apartments if they can't pay their rent. So just an all-around bad situation for people and the economy as a whole, in my opinion. So that uncertainty combined with this kind of rapid plummet in the morning really kind of scared me, and I didn't want to get in too early. There were actually some people in the Discord server that got in, and they made some fantastic plays because I guarantee you they're already profitable by probably tens, if not hundreds of dollars already by the end of the day because of this recovery after noon. But that's where I made my mistake. Looking back in hindsight, I should have gotten in then, but you can't win them all. So I did not make any plays today because once I saw this slow recovery all day long, there really wasn't a good opportunity to get back in because yes, there were some smaller dips in the afternoon, but once I got jaded by this big dip, I didn't want to get in and end up bag holding. So I did not open any positions this week. I still have my 200 shares of Space or Virgin Galactic from last week, which I'll talk about in a second. But I'll tell you what, I still could not find really a good ticker to play this week. I know in my video from last night, I mentioned DraftKings was looking a little juicy with its premiums, but I am so glad I did not get into DraftKings. Something inside me, like my spidey sense, was tickling and saying, don't play DraftKings. And I'm thankful that I listened to my spidey senses, because look at what DraftKings did. It opened up flat. It went from 34 all the way down to about 30. It dropped almost 10% today. I mean, yes, we rallied a little bit, so we only dropped about 7%. And I put that in quotation marks, only 7%. But thank goodness, because once we had that early dip in the morning, I was looking at opening up a put on DraftKings. But I'm so glad I didn't, because I would have continued to lose money. And you know what? There's now talk that the Big Ten and the Pac-12 in terms of college football are not going to play college football games. So it's likely that all college conferences are going to get canceled in terms of college football. So that's going to be a big hit for DraftKings. And then the NFL season hasn't been confirmed to my knowledge. So who knows if the NFL will also get canceled. And in my opinion, if the NFL gets canceled, that's really going to hit DraftKings hard, because I would have to imagine that fantasy football and these kind of college championship games are probably the biggest, if not one of the bigger components of how DraftKings makes their money. So even with earnings coming up, DraftKings is too much of a wild card right now, especially this week, because I think the moment the NFL season gets canceled, if it does get canceled, DraftKings is going to just drop like a rock. So I told myself, you know what, I'm not touching DraftKings. I deleted it from my watch list. I don't even want to look at it anymore. It's a way too risky stock. And even before all that, I thought it was kind of a meme and a hype stock. That with earnings coming up on Friday, there's just way too much uncertainty for me to play DraftKings. And I'm very fortunate that I did not open up a position on it, because I probably would have been in the red, and I probably would end up getting assigned shares of a stock that I really don't want. So thankful for that. So then I shifted my attention to my usual suspects, right? I looked at Disney, I looked at Micron, I looked at Space as well, trying to get some more puts. But then I went back to AMD, because none of those looked like a good setup for me either. So AMD, I'll tell you what, it looked juicy when AMD got down to about $80, because I was looking at puts in the low 70s while AMD was in about $80 and some change. I could get a put at that time at I think $72, and at that time I was going to collect a 0.4% return on my risk. So having an $8 buffer with a 0.4% on my risk, that was really good. And I was ready to pull the trigger, but like I said, I got a little greedy because I was waiting to get a better setup or to get closer to what I thought may have been a bottom. But then it got too late because AMD started rallying, and then I missed my opportunity. So, oh well, you can't win them all. I'd rather be 100% cash than be losing money. And like I said, the week is still young. This is just Monday. There's always another trade, so I'm not even going to sweat it. Who knows? We may even crash harder tomorrow. But this week, it's very tenuous for me. So I may not end up opening up a position all week, and I'm okay with that, because like I said, I'd rather be net zero than be net negative. I do currently own 200 shares still of Virgin Galactic, because I got assigned all my 2 puts from last week. And thankfully, you can see Virgin Galactic wasn't really affected by the market today. It rallied all day long. I mean, we opened up about 1.2% compared to where we closed yesterday, or I should say the last trading day, which was Friday. And we closed the end of the day up about 5%. So really good, because we closed at roughly $19 and some change. I mean, right now it's trading at $19.28 after hours, and my puts were assigned at $19. So I'm actually already profitable as of the making of this video by 28 cents per share. I mean, there was a point in time during the day where we were up a little bit more, around $19.40, but you can see we dipped back down and then we rallied a little bit. But if I'm up 28 cents a share right now and I own 200 shares, well, currently I'm actually profitable by $56. And I'm actually really happy about that, because I was debating whether to sell covered calls on it or not, and actually chose not to, because the premiums for the covered calls on Space actually weren't that great. And I think that's partly because the share price is so low. But if I was going to sell a covered call on Space for this Friday, I would, at the bare minimum, want to sell it for $19. And even when it's in the money, I was only getting about $70 to $80 in premium all day long, which wasn't that great. I mean, it's great money, but I was actually hoping for at least $100 to maybe $150 in premium. But I just couldn't get that. And so I thought, you know what? Rather than, trying to get $80 in premium, because that would be equivalent to a break even of $19.80, right? Because I would not collect any stock appreciation because that's my cost basis. I would just collect the premium, which in this case right now, for example, is 81 cents. So if Space closes Friday at $19.82, then that means I left a penny on the table, right? And I think certainly with how volatile Space is, it could easily go to the low to mid 20s by end of day Friday, as long as we're green all week or even a little bit up and down. So if that's the case, I just want to hold the shares and maybe I can sell the shares outright and just collect the stock appreciation. Because the other thing was, if I sell a covered call that's further out of the money, let's say I think Space is so volatile that maybe it could go to $24 by Friday. So then let's say I sell the covered call at 24, I'm only collecting $4 in premium. So it's not really worth it, because at that point, I'm basically locking up my shares for the week for only $4 in premium, which is not worth it to me. Because let's say on Wednesday, let's say the stock goes to like $24.50. It just rockets for whatever reason. Maybe some good news comes out and it rockets. And I think, it's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, the stock's probably going to come back down to earth. And maybe I think Friday it'll close at, let's say, 22. Well, if I have a covered call on and I lock up all my shares, I can't really take advantage of that, right? Because let's say Wednesday I'm watching the market and Space rockets to $24.50 off some good news. Well, I could just sell my shares outright and collect the stock appreciation. So that's why I thought actually the covered calls on Space weren't worth it. So I don't think I'm actually going to sell covered calls on Space this week. I think I'm just going to monitor the stock. And if it rises high enough to where I'm happy with the profit in stock appreciation, I'll probably just sell it off and collect the profits. I mean, I've already made $56 in one trading day. That's already more than half of the premium I would collect by selling a covered call at the 19 strike. So it doesn't really make sense, because I've already made more than 50% of my theoretical premium in one trading day, as opposed to waiting a whole week to collect $81. So I think I'm just going to hold Space right now, and hopefully it rockets up to the low to mid 20s, and then I can sell it off. I mean, for every dollar it goes up above $19, that's $200 of profit, because I own 200 shares at $19, and $1 stock appreciation times 200 shares is $200. So even if this thing goes to like 20 tomorrow, that's $200 in profit in, whatever, 1 or 2 trading days. So that's a good weekly return, let alone a good daily or 2 days worth of return. So that was my trading day for today. I left a little bit of money on the table. I wish I got in with some of my Discord members in terms of getting in on that dip this morning. But if you were able to get in on the dip, good on you. Chances are you're going to be profitable if you're not already. Let me know if you opened up any positions. Hopefully you did not open up any positions on DraftKings, or hopefully if you did, they are super far out of the money, because I do not like DraftKings this week. It is just looking too volatile and just too much uncertainty about that stock. Let me know if you played any tickers. If you're not in our Discord server already, make sure you get in there. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and happy trading.